Let's be honest, there's no guidebook when it comes to relationships, so we end up having to stumble through life trying to figure things out for ourselves. What if there was a podcast that found the answers for you, that provided insight to build a successful relationship and ultimately find the companionship you've always hoped for? Welcome to the Girls Ask Guys show, where we answer the questions most people are afraid to ask when it comes to lessons in life and love. It's time to master this thing called life together with your hosts, John and Ashley.
And welcome back to the Girls Ask Guys show, where we talk about love, life, relationships, and everything else in between. And today we have a special little topic for you, one that we really haven't hit on a whole lot in the past.
Yeah. No, actually, I think this is actually a first that we've ever really talked about it. And it's not too difficult to navigate through, but it got its little nuances. I think there's levels to this question. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get that bad boy started.
So this question, it comes in from a female who is asking us, my boyfriend has become more interested in porn than sex. And they've been living together for 3.5 months.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, pretty much to sum up this entire more than one paragraph question, pretty much what happened was she walked in on him after she got off work early, and guess what he was watching on the computer? Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen this happen more than once. What are you watching? Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So
my friend actually sent the link to me, and I didn't.
Straight up.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that one happen too.
I would like to say, as someone who is indulged in a sort of adult type of movie, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's more addicted. There's a fantasy element to it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's more into it. He might just have some things he's working out literally I was going to say with himself.
Yeah. Or herself. I mean, that happens as well.
Herself. Listen, I think it's weird. The concept of like assuming that he's just, is there any like proof that it's more and not just?
She says that since he's like really started watching it, that they've actually started having less.
Okay.
So there's an element to this where, just coming off of all the research that I've done and going to college and taking courses in sexology, there are elements of this that I can track down to point him in the right direction. Mm-hmm. So part of that is he's probably interested in something that they are doing on the screen that he probably thinks in his mind is a little bit weird, or he's not too sure you might be into. So he's going elsewhere to get that taken care of.
Right, exactly. And sometimes it is just, I think sometimes there's an aspect to where you need to be concerned. And I think sometimes you need to understand that there's fantasy involved in that. The fantasy can be half the fun. But if it seems like you guys are engaging in adult activities less because of the frequency that he's watching these movies, then maybe it is time for you to sit down and have a serious talk and say, okay, what is it about this that you are so into? And if he can like verbalize it and say, I like this aspect.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, well.
Yeah. But that's also going to have to come to, are you guys able to have those kinds of conversations?
Very much so.
That's why when you listen to our show and you listen to how we talk about building a sustainable relationship and coming at the whole thing with honesty and authenticity, you can actually have those conversations, and it's not going to get so weird that you just like go inside your clamshell and you're unwilling to discuss it. Because I can't tell you how many times I can sit there and go, so what do you like? What do you want? What do you need?
I have that conversation often. It's not a weird conversation. If you are skittish about adult relationships and those kind of things, I hate to say it like this, but get over it. Like, it's perfectly natural.
It reminds me of that Friends episode where Ross went on a date and his date asked him to talk dirty to her, and he couldn't do it.
Yeah, he made such a weird, like, big deal out of something that's so
then he goes to Joey, and Joey's like, tell me I'm hot and spank my ass. And then everybody else is sitting there watching going, okay, this just got weird.
Okay.
But,
Right.
but yeah, it's that kind of thing. You don't want to get that skittish about it. Somebody wants you to talk dirty to them, unload.
If you're not yeah, exactly. And if you're not comfortable doing it, then just say, I'm not comfortable doing it. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the person's going to cheat on you. They may just indulge in the adult acts and watching the adult movies because they don't want to be with someone else. They don't want to be with you, but they still want to experience the fantasy of that. So they watch the movies.
Yeah.
Now, if you guys, like I said, if you guys are experiencing less adult activity due to that, all right, yeah. So you probably should freaking talk about it, and you probably should figure out why.
I've had conversations with girls where I was like, okay, what words are acceptable and what words are not?
Yeah, I kind of just go for everything I want to say and then have people tell me to dial back. But really, no, I'm kidding. Yeah. But realistically, setting boundaries, doing things that make people comfortable, finding someone who you can engage in adult activities with that isn't, if you're more of a skittish person, I would say find somebody who's more skittish. If you're Christopher Columbus I guess that's a bad example. If you're Lewis and Clark in it, that's a horrible example. But if you are, Lewis and Clark and you want to throw Sacagawea in the middle, like find people like that because I wonder how many metaphors I can use for sex. Like I'm at this point counting. But realistically, that's what it comes down to is finding someone you're compatible with.
Yeah, being Neil Armstrong.
Just going straight for the moon. See, that's funny. Or is that Buzz? I don't know which one it is. Either way, inappropriate. Dig it. But
to infinity and beyond.
Yes, that's Buzz Star Lightyear. That's Buzz Lightyear. I was gonna call him Buzz Star Commander. But yeah, no, you have to find that person. You have to find. I have learned this in my years of sex exploration. Mm-hmm. Number one, if we can't talk about it, we shouldn't be doing it.
Exactly. Now, if his thing is something like totally out there that you're just like, that's not happening.
It's not happening. Yes, absolutely not.
Yeah. Go to some of these conventions, and the ones that kind of weird me out are nothing against these individuals. That's what they like. They enjoy it. It's just really not for me. I'm not getting dressed up as a dog or a cow or anything else that's furry. It's not happening. Okay. And if hard no. It's a hard no. Now, if that's what he wants and you're not willing to make that happen, or even vice versa, you want that and he's not willing to, then you have to either come to terms or either he has to come to terms or you have to come, whichever one is into it, going to have to come to terms with that's not happening. But if that's something that they strongly desire, you can pretty well assume.
They're going to watch a video on it. Yeah, they're going to watch a movie.
They're either going to watch a video or they're going to go elsewhere to make that happen.
Mm-hmm. And you have to kind of be, and I'm not going to say be willing to accept that someone's going to go elsewhere, because sometimes for some people, infidelity is a hard no. Some people are like, listen, I'm not doing that shit. You need to go somewhere else and find it. And that's the only thing you can do with that person because they give that to you. So that's another thing you want to explore as you move into that aspect of your relationship. Sex is not difficult. It's not uncomfortable. It should be great. And if it's not great, there's always things you guys can do to work on that. But if you feel like adult movies are really interfering in your sex life, then you need to be like, why? And either A, how do we make this better? Or B, how do we better define what we're going to do so that this isn't interfering?
Yeah.
Like, there's obviously things that we all have hard nose on. I have hard nose. Everybody has hard nose.
Yeah,
so if it's something that's a hard, very hard, like, absolutely not. Like, don't even fucking.
Yeah, don't even think about asking me to put on a costume. It's not happening.
Yeah, like, it's not happening. Like, there's things that are just not happening. And you know what? I always put the hard nose out there completely. And if it's something that I think that you're like, oh, I'm really into this and I really like this, and I'm like, yeah, no, shit ain't about to happen in my bedroom. Then it's either we're doing anything or what we do is acceptable by both of us. And if you want to go do that shit, you go do it everywhere else, but you're not doing it with me. And that's who I am as a person. Or if I'm in a committed relationship, I'll be like, listen, go watch some porn and figure that out yourself, because I can't do it. Yeah. I'm not doing it.
So really what it comes down to is anytime any relationship that you have, as that relationship progresses and you start getting closer and closer to that time where this is going to happen, you need to have a conversation before it happens.
Have the conversation whenever you... Yeah.
And it could be just through general flirting. And we have episodes on flirting. Know your type of flirting and how it works and what type of flirting leads to what. We've got episodes on that. Go listen to them. But you can figure out what the person wants, what they need, and also what they desire. If you can make those desires happen and it's not a hard no for you, then you are going to become their sex god. But if it's a hard no, you're going to have to find some workarounds.
Right. And that's the thing. You are allowed to have hard no's. You should, unless you are the most open-minded human being in the world, you probably should have a couple things that are like, this seems dangerous, or like, I'm afraid of heights, or like things like that. You should be like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
But
now, if there's some stuff that you want to try, well,
try everything once.
Try everything. Yeah.
Twice, actually. I say try most things twice. Everything once. That's the way I roll.
But if you're going to try something, make sure you have that trust level there.
Absolutely.
Because I've seen that, me personally, working in law enforcement, I've seen some weird stuff. People get called out to a call and you're like, okay, where are they?
They're doing what? Oh, you can do that?
Yeah. Why would you do that?
How the fuck did you get that into there? Like, I just have questions.
Just go watch that show, Sex in the ER. You'll kind of get a mental aspect.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
But I've been called out on those. And you're like, what?
No, I would be like, no way, dude. That's nonsense. Like,
They make for some great stories.
Oh, I bet.
But I'm not going to go into those now. But
no, we don't do that.
Yeah. So make sure that there's the trust level there, and some of that stuff you've actually done your homework on. Yeah.
If it's something that you need to do homework on, do the homework on. Don't be ashamed. That's the thing. We may
do the homework together. That's
right.
Fun.
That's fun.
It is. I was about to say I've done that. We've sat down. We're like, really?
Moment.
And you're like, oh wow. Are you up for that? I'll try it. Okay.
Okay, right? Exactly. The next thing you know, it's a whole night. So don't be afraid to do any of that stuff. Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. It's okay. And I know that, like, especially in America, we grow up in this very sexually repressed society where anything...
One of the most sexually repressed societies there are, other than
it's very
some of the Middle East places.
Right. And it can feel uncomfortable, but it's not. If you really want to be with someone intimately and you really want to explore things with them, it's okay. And if you feel like that's something you don't want to explore, that's okay too. But then you have to kind of be like, go watch a movie or go think about it.
Yeah.
Don't do it with me.
But as far as him liking or becoming more interested in porn than actual sex, for myself, based on what I know, based on what I have researched, and again, we're not doctors, not psychologists. I don't have fancy letters after my name. Just saying, there's probably something there that he desires, that he wants to have happen, and it is not happening. Either one, because I want to put this at the top of the list, you two are not communicating about this, or he has communicated it to you and he has probably not gotten an answer that he understands, or it's a hard no.
Right.
Those are really the only three things I can come up with. It all comes down to the main thing we constantly talk about. It's all about communication.
Communication. And there's nothing wrong with you saying no. So if you feel pressured into something, it's not okay. You shouldn't feel pressured.
What was that other question that we came across where, why do girls have sex and then feel bad about it later?
Right.
Most of the time, it's because they felt pressured into doing something that they didn't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
They felt like they couldn't leave. Or if they did say no, they would disappoint them.
They would get in trouble or something like that. Yeah, and they would be, and that's the truth, is you shouldn't feel pressured. You shouldn't be pressured into anything, and it's okay to say no. Like, fully okay to say no.
It's kind of like, what was that other one that we had?
We had...
just as a wrap up, would having sex with somebody make them like you more? No.
Right, and no, absolutely not. And then we had the other one that was like, why don't girls have sex drives? It was like, that sounds like a you issue, buddy.
It sounds like...
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, it's rather right there on par with guys. It's just our society, Western society in general, they're not allowed to talk about it as much. It's always hinted at. We've covered that in several episodes.
Episodes. Yeah. I mean, it's just, you guys are thinking too hard most of the time. You're thinking too hard. If you're asking simple questions about sex, either A, shouldn't be happening, or B, you're thinking way too hard about it.
Exactly. There you go. That's our show. We hope you got something out of it. Talk about it, people. That's all you have to do.
Talk it out.
Get comfortable to talk about it. Yes. So with that, we will talk to you on the next one.
That's all for this episode of the Girls Ask Guys show, where all of us learn to master this thing called life together. For more answers to your questions on life and love, be sure to subscribe to the show so you don't miss a single episode. And head to girlsaskguyshow.com to submit your questions for a future episode or apply to be a guest on the show. Good luck out there, and we'll catch you next time, right here on the Girls Ask Guys show.